Hello, my name is Serene An, and I'm the Korean Club Treasurer at Columbus North High School. I am happy to welcome to the podium Isaac Lay, the president of the Buchanan High School Chinese Club. It is our pleasure this morning to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Vong Mouanoutoua.
With a compelling journey marked by resilience and accomplishments, Mr. Mouanoutoua's experience exemplifies the pursuit of excellence. From his early education in California to earning a Juris Doctorate degree from San Joaquin College of Law. His academy journey is both inspiring and impactful.
In addition to his academic pursuits, Mr. Mouanoutoua is actively engaged in various organizations, including leadership roles in the legal and community sectors. Mr. Mouanoutoua is an important part of our community and has been an active member of the Clovis City Council since 2017, currently holding the position of Mayor Pro Tem of Clovis. Please join us in welcoming to the stage Mr. Vong Mouanoutoua.
You know, as I was sitting at the table with all your leadership, you kind of have to sometimes pinch yourself because of where you came from. And it is only, and I credit it to education, that has allowed people from all different generations, so all different countries, to be able to reach heights that previously would never have reached. You know, there's a fear if you are Asian and if you are in school. And that fear was also instilled in me. When I saw this little saying, I thought, okay, this was my life growing up. And it's called, don't lose your pencil. And some of you may have heard it. If you lose your pencil, you have no pencil. If you have no pencil, you have no notes. You have no notes, you can't study. You can't study, you fail. If you fail, you get no diploma. No diploma, you get no work. No work, no money. No money, no food. No food, you get skinny. You get skinny, you get ugly. You get ugly, you get no love. You get no love, no marriage. No marriage, no children. No children, then you're alone. And when you're alone, you're depressed. And when you're depressed, you get sick. And when you are sick, you die. So don't lose your pencil. You know, when we were growing up, there's 5 uncles, including my dad, and, you know, families of 10. And so we would fill a room like this. Now, we would sit, and we would sit all the children together by age. And the uncles would sit in the middle, and they would go to the oldest, and they would go, what's your GPA? Right? 5 men that, you know, you revere. And what are you studying? And if you heard 3.5 and above in doctor, engineer, they moved on. Someone got a 2.4 or like, I want to be a musician, they got lectured. So good thing I was younger, because when it came to me, it was 3.8, Dad, doctor. And you know, you just moved on. And the pressure of doing that 2-3 times a year, at least it made it where, okay, I better do well and I better get, you know, a high degree. And it's worked well, at least for our generation. You know, every time I get asked to speak, I have to take a moment to thank God, thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving and saving me and allowing me to be here. Second, I thank my parents, because it is them who have made me. And I thank my wife and kids, and I know that they place a seat there for my wife, and she looks different today, you know. But I appreciate her, because it is with a spouse that supports you, that allows you to do community service and to be out. And I thank my kids too, because in positions of service, you know, there are boo-boos you never get to put a Band-Aid on. There are graduations and or sports activities you may miss. And there are events that, you know, you sometimes are not at, and I thank them for their patience. I want to thank Sarah Burris, okay? She's the activities director. She's the one who reached out to me. And I think the last time she reached out was 2018. I came here to speak as well. And that time it was one ingredient, 1,000 dishes was your theme. I thank the committee, as Dr. Fulmer did earlier, and for Dr. Tarosian for showing me where to go. I thank your administration and all the mentors for being out today. You know, young people, when you look at us older folks, you know, you look at them, you kind of go, well, what are they good for? It reminds me of the ship mechanic. One time, a rich man, we had a ship like the Titanic or a cruise ship with the Royal Caribbean, and it died. So he docked it, and he got all the young mechanics to come out and try to fix it. And each one tried, and they could not get him to start the engine. So they said, hey, there's this old retired mechanic who live up in the hills. Why don't you get him? He said, okay, bring him down. He came down. All he brought with him was a little hammer. And as he came around, he walked around the ship, the entire ship, and he finally stopped at one spot. And he hammered it twice. Knock, knock, right? And he's going to start the engine. He started the engine up. Boom, it goes. He goes, all right, Mr. Mechanic, send me your bill. He goes home, he sends the bill, $20,000. And the ship owners go, what in the world, for 2 knocks? Tell him to come here. Tell him I want to see the itemized bill. So he comes over and he goes, please, itemize your bill. $20,000 for 2 knocks? Sure, here. 2 knocks, $2. Nowhere to knock, $19,998. Young people, these know where to knock. They know the answers in which you were asking. They have that experience. It is your administrators, it is the mentors, it is your teachers. They may not have much, but they have that experience to be able to give you, to know where to knock, to know what to say should you have that question. So use today as a moment to go get something from them. And I don't know if our mayor is here. Is Mayor Anishki? No? Okay. I also want a moment to put a plug in. We're starting a youth commission for the city of Clovis. So please, we need young people like you because we want youth voices in city government and in city planning. So please, you have 2 more days to apply. Tomorrow's the last day and today. We want sophomores and juniors to apply to get on our first youth commission. You know, the theme is Shinu Shipa. The term is Hmong, but it implies action, and it implies that there's someone else. So it's not a me, myself, okay? That term implies children, you gotta love each other, community, you gotta love each other, you gotta help each other. So it implies others. It's not a inwardly word. And so when we look at the topic of why Hmong people say this, you have to look back again at where you came from. And I want to take a moment, and I was talking with my mom over Thanksgiving, and I said, Mom, your generation, my generation, are the most blessed. He said, why? Because imagine, we had no electricity, we lived in huts, we had no shoes, no clothing, and today you operate an iPhone and an iPad. Okay. America took, 200 years to get there. You took 40 years. Look how blessed we are. He said, you're right. We are blessed. And so young people, I said, you are blessed. The Hmong people are blessed. But your parents and your grandparents, I want you to always refer to them as this. That is Hmong's greatest generation. A generation that fought a war, that took 10 kids to come to America, that had nothing, lived in apartments, but filled the apartments should they have an event, that knew no English, but yet the majority of those kids were valedictorians, salutatorians, and everyone has a good job and everyone is doing well. That generation produced music for the first time for Hmong people to hear, produced movies for us to listen to. And now our children, like Sunisa Lee, is the all-around gold medalist, a young Hmong girl. Megan Kang, an LPGA golfer. Aiden Tao, a motocross bicycle racer. And we got state senators, we got assembly persons, we got millionaires, all because of that generation. And so from this moment forward, I also want to take a moment for us to respect those elders. You see, for you to be here today, there was an old game of 2048. Remember the blocks? You keep moving and try to add the numbers. That 2048 is the number of people 9 generations ago to have you today sitting there. 9 generations back, 2,048 people. Think of how many love stories those were, how many times they were hungry, how many fights they went through. All that so that you could sit there in that chair. And so we are not here by chance. We are here because of those 2,048 people. I want to share just a couple observations because in the story it gave a good history of our people. But I think that story is shared by everybody who has come to America. America is the land of immigrants. You see, today, meaning moving forward, or ever since I stepped here, my history, my life, is now interwoven into the fabric and the history of America. They can't say I am not. Whatever I have done, it is an American doing because I am here. And you are all blessed for that. First thing I want to say is always think of others. Think of others and not yourself. Keep that first in whatever you do. You see, in the Bible, there's a story of the Good Samaritan, right? See, in that story, there was someone who was beat down, a Jew who was beat down. See, the road to Jericho goes from Jerusalem to Jericho, and it's a steep and winding road. And so there was a Samaritan, someone beat up, and a priest and a Levite went by and just walked around him. And a Samaritan, someone who was not of the same race, stopped and helped this person. You see, some will speculate, why did they not help? Why did they not help? And because it's winding, some would say, oh, if I stop, maybe he's faking it. Hey, I'm running to a meeting. I'm important. I got to get to the meeting. I don't have time to stop. Or maybe the thieves who beat him up are still around. So if I stop, I might get beat up. You see, the people who did not stop asked this question, and Martin Luther King made this point. What will happen to me if I stop? You see, the Samaritan who stopped asked the correct question. What will happen to him if I do not stop? That is the question to all of you today, young people. What will happen to your parents if I do not continue going to school? What will happen to this cause if I do not stand up with my friends? What will happen if I do not do what I'm called to do? But if you are afraid and you go, oh, if I show up, they'll see my face. If I show up, there'll be this. If I finish, mom and dad won't see me as much. And I think that is the wrong question. So, ask the right question. I know that many of us come from poor families. Some of you are first generation. Some of your parents don't speak English well. But you have to go and finish. You have to love others and help others. That is an active word, like we said earlier. You see, freedom in America takes courage. Because if you don't have the will, the courage to fight for it, you won't get it. If you don't have the will to decide, you won't. Coming from my country, you didn't have freedom. You were a farmer, and you're going to get married, and you're going to die that, and my son will be the same, and his son will be the same. But in America, you choose. Ask anyone who comes from a country where you have no choice. That takes courage, because I have to own the decision that I make. I have to make that decision, and I have to live and pay the consequences for it. To love, some say that is the higher virtue. Help, patience. The greatest virtue, I always say, is courage. For without courage, I have no guts to go say to the young lady, I like you. And I have no guts to be able to help. I have no guts to be able to do it. It takes courage, young people. Courage is the greatest attribute to have. If you want to love, you got to have courage. If you want to help, you have to have courage. As Mother Teresa said, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. So that's first thing. Think of others first. And when I think of schools, COVID really made me as a parent appreciate the school. For without the school, now we had to create the classroom. We had to be the teacher. We had to be the social, expert. We had to do all those, which we took for granted that the school was doing for us. The school taught our kids and gave our kids so much, and we are so grateful for this school. Next is continue learning and growing. Never stop. Always grow, always learn. It reminds me of the pencil. Use the pencil to remind you of what to be. You see, a pencil must be held by someone. In this stage in your life, someone is holding you, teaching you how to use a sentence structure, teaching you how to analyze some book, teaching you how to put a screw into a wall. They're teaching you. So in other words, you have to be held. Second, you got an eraser. So if you mess up, you can erase. Third, there's going to be sharpening. And it hurts. And you're not perfect, so you're going to be sharpened by someone. And so when you are sharpened, allow it to happen so that way you can be sharper. Next, a pencil is only important if it makes a mark. So young people, make your mark. Don't just be a pencil laying on a desk. Make your mark. And your mark will be your unique mark in this life. And lastly, the most important part about the pencil is what's on the inside, the lead. And the most important thing about you is what's on the inside of you. So work on that part too. Clovis teaches good character, and good character still counts. Because I guarantee you, when you meet people, you want someone who is decent. You want to interact with people who are humble. You want to interact with people who are complimenting to you. And so do that. And in working on yourself, I like what Martin Luther King said. He said just to be your best. You see, young people, when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. And it falls on your lot to be a street sweeper. Sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept well. And if you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a scrub in the valley. But be the best little scrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best, whatever you are. See, when you offer your best, it'll be the best of what they have. So work on yourself. And don't ever let what is going on around you change who you are. There once was a man who was walking. He saw a snake that was burning in a fire. And he went and he grabbed the snake by the tail. And as he grabbed, the snake turned around and bit him. And he dropped the snake back into the fire. He walked away and he took a stick. And he took the stick and wrapped around the snake and rescued the snake still. Another man saw and said, hey, why did you rescue that snake? He goes, the snake's nature is to bite. My nature is to help. So just because you get bitten, do not stop being who you are. You are good people. If you ask any of the older teachers who've been here when we came, any classroom that has a bunch of Asians, it's a good year. And it's an easy year. Because we're obedient, we turn in our homework, and our parents don't come and talk to the teacher much. You see? And so be proud of what that is. And so you are that people. You are good. So don't think or don't change just because of the surroundings. Keep your good nature. Lastly, remember we're all in this together. Because sometimes we think it's the white problem, it's the Latino problem, it's the brown problem, the yellow problem, the black problem. And I have to remind you, I like illustrations because I think you remember the illustrations. You don't remember points. There was this grandmother who lived in a farmhouse, and there was a mouse that kept running around. So the grandmother said, I'm going to kill this mouse because he keeps, just going and eating stuff and making holes in the wall. So she ordered on Amazon, next day Prime, came a mouse trap. The mouse is looking and going, oh my goodness, I'm dead tonight. I'm going to stay in my hole. Mouse stayed and said, oh, Grandma put the mouse trap out. The mouse ran out to the farm, right? Went to the chicken, to the rooster, and said, hey, Mr. Chicken, Mr. Rooster, you got to help me. Grandma got a mouse trap. Help me. I'm going to die. And Rooster's like, hey, I got all these hens and chicks to take care of. It's not my problem. It's your problem. It's a mouse trap, not a chicken trap. Then he went to the pig. He goes, oh, Mr. Pig, you got to help me. Come on, they feed you everything they don't eat. They love you. If you say something, they'll listen to you. Help me. You got to help save me. He goes, no, it's not my problem. I'm busy eating. Leave me alone. Goes to the cow. Oh, come on, Mr. Cow. They drink from you. They take care of you. They put you in this nice big pen. Come on, help me. The cow's like, I can't even step on a mouse trap. It doesn't even hurt. Get out of here. Move over. Goes home and he's like, oh, I ain't going now. I'd rather just starve. Middle of the night, the mouse trap snaps and Grandma's got that little sucker, right? Goes, turns on the flashlight, and she screams. There was a snake, a poisonous one, and it bit her. Grandpa comes over, beats the snake, kills it. Grandma gets sick. Grandma has to go to the hospital. What happens when you're at the hospital and you're sick? Gotta make chicken soup. Went to the pen, killed the rooster, made soup for Grandma. Oh, yay, Grandma feels good. Grandma's back home. The village was coming to visit and everything. Oh, we got to make a feast to celebrate Mom get home. Kill the pig, right? The big feast. Well, unfortunately, the poison was still there. Grandma passed away. And this family was Hmong. And you know what you do at a Hmong funeral? Kill a cow. Right? To feed the family. You see, sometimes we think it's not my problem. It's that neighborhood over there. It's that street. It's that person. No, it's all of us. So think of it. Remember that. And we talk about love. I want to leave you with just one simple analogy and or illustration. You all have these, right? If you want to see if you love people well, if you want to see if you love your parents well, your brother, your sister, I always say, love them like how you love your iPhone. Love your mom and dad like how you love your iPhone. You keep them close to your heart. You take it to the toilet. You keep it next to you. Anytime it dings, you're looking at it. Before the battery drains, you're charging it. It never leaves you. Love those who are close to you like you love your cell phone. You'll be fine. Treat them that way. Keep them close to you. Always something, important. Love others like how you love your iPhone. And you'll be fine. In closing, I want to leave you with this. Sometimes we don't know what we're charged with. Sometimes we forget. You see, on the tombstones at the cemetery, it never says, here's the greatest council member. Here is the greatest superintendent. Here's the richest man. It always just says father, grandfather, son, daughter. Work on those things. You see, there was this man who was lazy. And he went to this farm, lived probably like here. And there's some fruit trees. He picked some fruit, and the farmer came out. The farmer goes, hey, you thief, get out of here. And he runs to the forest next to the farm. And he hides up on a tree. And he goes, I'll stay here. Hopefully the farmer doesn't get me. And as he's hiding up in the tree, he sees this fox come by whose hind legs were damaged. So he was just moving on two hands, right? And he goes, and right behind the fox comes this lion with piece of meat in his mouth. And he thought to himself, oh, this fox is dead for sure. And as the lion comes by the fox, he drops the meat off on the fox, and the lion goes away. And he gets an inspiration from that. He goes, oh my goodness, if the creator who created animals can take care of the animals this well, I'm his best creation, meaning a human. He'll take care of me. So he ran back to town, stood at the corner, waiting to see if people would love him, waiting to see if some people would hand him something. And all day, no one stopped and gave him anything. And he felt dejected, going, oh my goodness, the Creator does not care for me more than those animals. And as he went, he saw this wise man along the road, and he shared his whole story to him. And he said, you see, the Creator does not care about me because no one stopped to help me. And the wise man said, you know, I think you're reading that story wrong. You were created to be the lion, not the fox. See, young people, some of you are acting like foxes. Give me, help me. No, you must be lions because you were all created to be lions, to help others, to go grab some meat and to go, here, you cannot have it. I will give it to you. You are lions. Lions are not the strongest, yet they're the most feared. They're not the biggest animal. They're not the fastest animal, but they're the king of the jungle. And you, young people, are the future kings and queens of our communities. And you're created to be lions. So see yourself as one. And one day we will see you lead and help those and love those who cannot help themselves. Thank you. May God bless all of you. May God bless Clovis Unified. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of this. Thank you.